Okay.
Awesome. Well, today on Fueling Your Legacy, we have a wonderful guest, Niki Zager. She's going to be talking about different experiences in her life and how she's overcome the mindsets of others, the negative self-talk and negative presence of others, and how we can together become better at that same thing. But to introduce Niki, she was born in Salt Lake City in 1988. She moved to San Diego when she was 5 years old and was really raised kind of as a tomboy. And she just did tons of really all the sports. I'm going to list them off here in a second. But at age 7, she was diagnosed with Legg Calve Perthes Disease and was told that she would never be able to run, do gymnastics, or any sort of high-impact weightlifting sports. Since that, hearing that, her family went to multiple doctors, flew around the country, trying to find out if there was surgery that was necessary or if she could just let her disease kind of play out. And she chose to just let it play out. What ultimately happened, though, is really cool because she was able then to become a competitive swimmer. She started her own boxing thing. She's done weightlifting, run multiple businesses in that area. She did get a college degree in psychology and drama, and just has really done a ton of things. Even was on the LA Kings ice crew. So she's just done tons of things, and really excited to have her on here. So welcome, Niki.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you here as well. We want to start out with just you describing or telling the story maybe your childhood in your own words and what that experience was like, hearing that you potentially wouldn't be able to do what you love to do, and then how you overcame and decided to move past that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like, you said, I was 7 years old when I was first diagnosed. So at that time, I was an only child and my dad really wanted a boy. So we were throwing footballs all the time. I was playing soccer and I was also playing softball. So super, super active. And I just noticed a pain in my hip one day. We went in, we thought it would be like growing pains, and they diagnosed me with this hip disease. And so from a really young age, I kind of had this traumatic experience, if you will, and ended up being on crutches for 3 years, saw 10 different doctors prior to that. 9 said I had to have surgery. And then we found one that said, potentially if you stay off it for 3 years, if you do physical therapy every single day, if you swim every single day, maybe there's a chance you'll be okay. And I was like, all we need is that maybe, and then that's what we did. So I was okay after those 3 years, and knock on wood, still no surgery to this day. But, really what it taught me is during those 3 years, I was bullied a lot. Kids sometimes don't really understand stuff that's going on. So because maybe I didn't have a cast or something, they didn't really understand the disease. And so I got made fun of a lot during that time. And I really only had one good friend that stuck by me through it. She's still my best friend to this day. Her name's Caitlin. And my family was there for me through all of it. So from a very young age, it just taught me like, who's really there for you through thick and thin. And those are the people, that's your tribe. Those are the people that you just stick with for life. So.
Right. No, that's awesome. It's interesting how all it takes is one person to believe in you, and that one person can change everything. I grew up in a family of 11, so very different, the 7th child, but I didn't feel like I had a very supportive family when I was growing up. And there's one experience that sticks out in my mind of something that my grandfather, actually, we were driving in the car one day and took a trip to the dump, emptied his little pickup, and then we were driving home, and he had mentioned, turned down the radio, reached over, put his hand on my knee and said, "You know what, Sam, one day you'll be a leader and you'll be able to teach people to really reach their fulfillment. Your voice is easy to listen to. It's easy on the ears." And then he just turned the radio back up and we went on our way. And that moment still sticks out to me. So all it takes is that one person to believe in you. And it's crazy. The things you can accomplish with just that one person. So
that's so true.
How did you like decide what to tackle next? I mean, out of all of the things we kind of mentioned, how did you decide what to tackle next in your, I would say your array of things that you've accomplished in your life? How did you decide what sports, what things you felt like you could do versus maybe not do?
Yeah, well, so when I was diagnosed, they pretty much said three main things that I couldn't do and shouldn't do. And the first one was running. So like any sort of like repetitive, high impact things. The second thing was cheerleading. Again, really high impact, that kind of stuff. And then the third thing, which I was like, okay, well, I'm probably never going to do that anyway, was bodybuilding. So I went straight into gymnastics and cheerleading, and ended up actually auditioning for a few different cheer teams later in my life, and it became a dream and a goal of mine to become a professional cheerleader. So that's kind of how the LA Kings came about. So I did gymnastics, and then they also told me I couldn't run. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna sign up for a triathlon. So I did a few triathlons. That was an incredible experience. Not a runner, not a cyclist. I was a swimmer, but learning those two sports was pretty hard. And then, the most recent one, which is about 5 years ago, I started doing bodybuilding and just totally fell in love with the sport like immediately. So I guess I chose sports that the doctors told me I couldn't do. And I was like, I'm going to do them anyway.
So you're a little bit of a rebel, just a little bit.
Just a little, lot of it. Yeah.
A lot of it, right? Exactly. Well, I think the truly successful people they look at the way that society's going, or the people that are telling them what they can and can't do, and they generally run the opposite direction. And that's something I've learned in life. If everybody's going in one direction, then I probably need to reassess, especially if I'm following them. I need to find out, okay, I need to go the other way, not where they're going, but do something.
Totally. Do you know, really quick, do you know Russell Brunson, or have you heard of him by chance?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of remind me of him, which is a really good thing.
Yeah, that's a huge compliment. Yeah, he's a stud. He's I'm pretty sure he's from up here in Utah.
Yep. Yes, he is.
Or started his book. I don't know if you've read Expert Secrets yet.
I'm working on it.
It's a good one. So I would definitely recommend that one for sure. But so later on, you graduated, and then you tried out for these sports teams, these cheerleading teams. Tried out for two of them, right? The Chargers and the Ducks.
Yeah.
And they both rejected you.
First round too. First round. And so for anybody who's ever gone out for an audition like this, there's usually around 300 to 500 girls. The Chargers, it was about 500. Hockey teams usually around 300. And in the first round, and this could be different for other people, but they usually cut the ones that don't look the part, for lack of better words. So I was a little bit too maybe chubby or something. So anyway, they do a bunch of cuts. So if you're cut in the first round, it's kind of like, that one kind of hurt, So first round twice. So
right, but then you went on to did you learn ice skating because you didn't make it on the ground, so you decided you go do it on ice, or did you already know a little bit of ice skating and so it was a natural transition?
Nope, didn't. I mean, I'd been ice skating during Christmas time at UTC, which is just a little mall in San Diego. But no, I had no idea how to ice skate. And I actually had a boyfriend at the time that did know, and that was also willing to go out and practice with me. And so we ended up going out, and I learned and learned and learned, and then brought that into the Kings audition.
That is so incredible. I mean, it's just so cool to see people who refuse to say no, refuse to accept no. They're just going to go at it, and when they can't achieve it one direction, they will go learn a whole new thing just to be successful. And that's just incredible. So good on you, man. That's so cool. And how long were you with the LA Kings?
3 years. Yeah.
3 years. And were you doing lifts and jumps? And I have no idea. I don't know. I'm terrible at ice skating. I fall on my butt every time. So,
well, actually, I fell on my butt at the audition. So another thing for anybody out there that does go out and audition, if you mess up, it does not matter. That's not really what they're looking for. They're really just looking for who you are and your character. So I fell. I walked right up to the judges and just ate crap and got right back up. And I was like,
Yeah.
So and it worked, and it was okay. So yeah. Oh, what was your question? I think I got
Oh,
a little
no,
off
no,
topic.
that was awesome. Great answer. That's maybe I've got a chance then, even though I can't ice skate worth
There you go.
hardly at all. No, well, hey, what would you say your greatest success in life has been? How would you describe that?
So that's a great question. And as you ask it, you know, there's a few things that I could say, right? Like, graduating college in 3.5 years, honor roll, and the Kings and competing and different things like that. But my greatest accomplishment, I truly feel I potentially may have saved my mom's life. She was diagnosed with breast cancer a few years back, and if you guys have ever had anyone that's been diagnosed with a really sad disease or a hard one to fight, the patient doesn't always think that they have it. So my mom was in denial for months and months, and I was living in LA at the time. And I remember talking to her, and she'd be like, I think I have cancer, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the test said, and it was just so weird. So I just moved home. I just picked up all my stuff, moved home, took her into the doctor, found out she did indeed have it, set up all of her appointments, and was really just there for her every step of the way, and took her to all the appointments. And in life, you can accomplish so much. You can make money, you can get a degree, you can start your own business, but the greatest accomplishments and the things that feel the best for me is when I take care of another soul and I help someone else. And so that got to be my mom. So I feel really actually thankful that I got to be able to be that person for her.
That's incredible. Just wow. I mean, I've had my little sister. She 2 years ago, she actually got diagnosed with leukemia, and it's just something you don't really expect to ever happen. I had no idea when we invited you onto this podcast. I had no idea that was part of your story, but it's an interesting feeling where you just don't know, and you don't know if somebody's in denial or not. You don't know how they are going to react to treatments. You just have no idea. There's so many unknowns. How much do you think you already having your disease and your we'll call it an ailment or whatever, how much do you think that impacted how you reacted to her?
Honestly, maybe not at all. I don't even think I related that. Maybe it did, because that experience in my life just made me stronger, like just character wise. But I think I would have reacted the same way even if I hadn't been through that. I think I'm an empath, and so when anybody that I love is hurting, I'm just like, oh my God, let me take care of you. So I think I would have probably reacted the same.
That's awesome. So you're a good person to have around if I'm ever getting sick.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's so cool. And I think the coolest thing is when you get that opportunity to serve your family, and that when it's so close. I mean, it's so interesting when you think about it's like a whole term in psychology. I forget what it is, but if it's something distant from you, we can hear about hundreds of people dying or something in another country, and it's just, oh, that's sad. But then when it hits close to home, it's very real because of the proximity of this situation.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's just fascinating. So along with that, now you had throughout your life, I would say if anybody has excuses, right? Everybody has some excuses of reasons not to succeed, people who don't believe in them, right? You have the 10 doctors who we consider to be authorities in medicine and in our body and physiologically and things, tell you, no, this is never going to happen. But I mean, your family, they believed in you, they supported you. Who else was there around you to kind of buoy you up? You had your friend, but to help you believe in your dreams and help you push toward your dreams.
Yeah, I have been really grateful to have just an amazing support system with family and friends. But the first person that just changed my world and just rocked my world and changed my perspective on myself and on other people, most importantly, was Juan. His name is Juan, and he lives in LA. And so this is also kind of the story of how I first got into bodybuilding. I was dating a guy that was, working out at the gym and doing all that stuff. And I'd never really held a dumbbell even. I didn't use equipment. Before that, I pretty much just did cycling classes and some ab routines, and I didn't understand the gym at all. So I saw this and I was like, wow, this is so cool. And at the time he was like, yeah, I'm going to compete. I'm going to do a competition. I was like, oh yeah, like what's that? And then he showed me and I was like, I'm going to do it too. Like, let's do it together. So we were kind of training together, and long story short, that relationship ended up ending. And I actually haven't even spoken about this on camera or to the public yet, but that it was an abusive relationship. And so the cops came and there was a restraining order, and I suddenly went from, you know, having a boyfriend, training for a competition, we were living together, to no boyfriend, you know, bruises and no place to live. And so my coach, which was Juan at the time, he said, you get on in here, come on in, I got you, you're still doing this, you're not giving up, and you can do this. And so I had maybe a month or a month and a half left of training for my competition. I was in the middle of prep. So for any NPC competitors out there, this was a lot to go through during prep. And yeah, he just took me in. I slept on his couch with his pit bull named Patron. And he trained me every single day. He brought me to my bikini fittings. He brought me to take my to get my shoes, my jewelry, I mean, literally from just every single step of the way, he was there. Like, I had nowhere to wash my clothes. He's like, we'll wash your clothes, like everything. And that is when I fell in love with the sport. And that's when I also realized that there are still a lot of really good people out there with huge hearts. And that was kind of something at the time that I think I had forgotten or kind of given up hope on, because I wasn't with someone that was a very good person. And so, yeah, he was the first person that really believed in me and saw it through to the end. My first competition, I placed. It was, I think I got third, or fourth. And so it was just like incredible. Yeah, Juan.
Wow. Juan, that is an incredible story. That's crazy. It's just like, again, it goes back to those few people. There's so many people or so many reasons not to quit, and that there's few people who are able to push you just a little bit farther, a little bit harder, to get to the point where you can actually reach your potential and have the vision and not seeing any limitations, which is what can this person achieve. And if we can all learn to really believe in each other that way, that's a huge part of it. But how would you say, when do you think you got your first like ignition of self-confidence? Because obviously toxic relationships, they're never fun, right?
Yeah.
But in them, it's a certain level of just lack of respect, if we're being honest, right, with ourselves, that we even be in that type of relationship. So how did you go from that, the mentality that would accept that, to no, I respect myself enough, I have enough self-confidence that I don't have to settle for situations like that might compromise who I am and I know, and the value that I know I have?
Absolutely. And this is me being extremely vulnerable, which I love, because this is real and this is life, and this is how you get from A to B, and this is how you improve. So I did not fully understand my worth and understand like how I should be treated after that relationship. So I was actually in two more, and the next one was abusive as well, and that was during another prep. And then the one after that was very, very verbally abusive. So I did not really figure out my worth until very recently. I'd say actually a few months ago, like the aha moment, like the big time, holy crap, what have I been doing these past 10 years? And I guess what it felt like was just looking in the mirror and not listening to the other voice, which was the boyfriend at the time, listening to me and reminding myself of where I came from, everything that I've been through, my character, just who I am through thick and thin, Also, a huge part of it was surrounding myself with my support system that I hadn't listened to. So, anybody that's out there that is in a toxic relationship, one of the main things you'll recognize is that everyone around you, your family, your friends, they see this person for who they really are. You're just love struck. So it's just really important to just take that big step back, and look at, is this a toxic person? Is this a good person? Do they have a good heart? Do they support me? Do they communicate well? Do they listen to me? Or do they yell, and do they call me names, and do they interrupt me? And just, the funny thing is that, I could do so well and accomplish so much stuff, but you can only go so far if you have a partner that's bringing you down. Like, you can't fight it anymore. So, I just got to the point where I was like, this isn't right. This doesn't feel right. And I know exactly who I am and what I want. And let's just go and let's just do it. So breaking up with him, stepping out on my own. In the past few months, I've got 3 sponsorships, 2 new jobs, this podcast. I mean, it's incredible what can happen when you cut the bad stuff out of your life.
Amen, girl. That is, for me, I unfortunately, I relate too much with the toxic person. I feel like as a child, we were very verbally abused, physically abused. And I mean, it's just, at best, it was negligent because we just didn't have a relationship with a lot of our, with our parents for sure, but even a lot of my older siblings that just didn't know growing up, because there was just too many kids. There wasn't time. And my mom was struggling with some chemical imbalances, borderline bipolar, and it was just not a good situation. I had my grandpa who believed in me, and I'm grateful for that. But what's crazy is I honestly thought I was a good person, and I thought I was helping people, but it wasn't until I was probably 12 or 13 that my older brother had to kind of help me, put me in check, and let me know, look, you've impersonated mommy, and that was like, for me, a way for my own survival. So I thought I was being helpful, but really I was being that abusive person. And I'm so grateful that somebody helped me recognize how I was impacting so that I could change. Because it's crazy to see what it can do to somebody,
right?
How it can impact somebody's beliefs by always tearing them down. And that was another thing that really shook my whole world when I realized that my sisters, who have amazingly beautiful voices, I had just railed on for so long, that their goals had changed. They wanted to be these singers. They wanted to do amazing things, go on American Idol. Yeah, American Idol, and be there. And they totally could have. And they tried out a few times later in life, but it took me till I was probably 13 or 14 to recognize what I had done to them. And it took them like almost giving up on their dreams.
Yeah, but on the same token, what's really wonderful to hear you say is that you were able to listen. Like, first of all, and I'm not trying to say, but it's usually men, but it's women too. They don't know how to listen, and they don't know how to look in the mirror, and they don't want to. And so the fact that you cared enough, like when you did find out and you were like, whoa, maybe I should change some things, that right there, that's something that so many people never do.
Right. I think it goes back to your realization where you realize, hey, why am I putting up with this? I've done some great things, and my identity, right? There had to become a cognitive dissonance where your identity was a successful, strong, independent woman, and yet you are dragging this pile of whatever around with you, who is constantly pulling you down and degrading you. And it was when you caught hold of like, wow, I'm living out of integrity with my identity, that you were able to make that jump. It was that snap in judgment, that enlightenment. And for me, it was the same thing, right? It was like, oh, this is how I'm showing up. And that's inconsistent with my identity. Nobody had really confronted me with, this is how you're showing up and this is your identity. Because I always viewed myself as a really nice guy trying to help out, but that's just not how I was coming across. So I think it's that moment when we're able to get somebody in touch with what their identity is, their inner identity that needs to be uncovered and set free, really, from all the negative energy and crap that's being dumped on everybody every day. I think it's interesting, a saying that I kind of live my life by. and encourage others to live their life by as well is, if you talk to your friends the way you talk to yourself, you probably wouldn't have any friends, or at least you'd have a few black eyes, right? And so keeping your own self-talk in check to make sure that you're always really lifting yourself up and talking and viewing and envisioning and creating the best version of yourself, rather than allowing your surroundings to keep you in bondage or enslaved in these negative mindsets that are just pushing you down.
And when you love someone, it becomes so much more complicated. Like, this isn't just my friend talks crap about me and makes me feel bad. This is like your significant other. This is the person that's supposed to be nurturing and supportive, and you can come home and if you have a bad day, you can cry on their shoulder. And oh my goodness, for like 10 years, that person for me, and it's not just one guy, it was multiple, was the complete opposite. And it is impossible, it's not possible to be successful and to be happy when you've got somebody that doesn't want that for you. Just doesn't work. Especially that close.
Sometimes you can take it from that environment or take it from that naysayer and say, okay, well, I'm going to go prove you right. I did one of the videos, one of the pillars to success, in my opinion, is you have to be successful for your haters, right? Because most of the reason why somebody's going to be hating on you is they're displaying an outward identity in themselves, right? They're unsure of their own worth. They're unsure of their own ability to achieve success. And so almost like crabs in a barrel, they have to pull you down so that they don't have to confront their own insecurities. And as a result, we need to separate ourselves from them to a degree, go and be successful out of love, to allow them to see, hey, look, you can be successful too. Anybody can do this. It's really an act of love to cut them off and go be successful in spite of those people. Not as a way to say, hey, I got you, and rub it in their face, but as a way to invite them to greater success in their own life.
Exactly. And, one thing for if anybody out there is, trying to grow a business, or just trying to maybe grow on social media or something, this is the one thing that I was not prepared for, and that is all the haters. And I've worked on this a lot over the past few years, but I'm very deep, so I can also be kind of sensitive. So when I would hear some of that stuff, like on Instagram, and there's trolls and all that kind of stuff, I allowed it to kind of get to me in the beginning. And so the big thing that I want to say is, oh my goodness, if you have haters, good. That is a beautiful thing. That means that you are doing something right. Because when people see you rising, when people see you doing well, the ones that aren't okay with their own life, like you said, those are the ones that are going to go ahead and put their claws in you, or try to. So if you recognize that you're getting more haters, that's a beautiful thing. Keep going.
Yeah, I don't have enough yet. So if anybody wants to hate on me, just like, no, I'm just teasing. Well, do whatever you want, really. It's interesting. I feel like for me, I gave up haters a long time ago. So it's like people hate on you because they want the attention, but once you don't give it to them, then they kind of just disappear. And like, I don't know, maybe they're there, but I don't even see them anymore in my life. I learned a great phrase for social media people out there. Lewis Howes, I don't know if you've heard him or listened to his podcast, but fantastic. And his story is phenomenal and just heart-wrenching. If you learn more about his life and his childhood. But when he first started, he had a similar issue where he was just getting all these haters, and he's very wanted to engage with them and prove that he was right or whatever. And somebody taught him, just respond with, hey, thank you for your feedback. And so now anytime I hear anything negative, it's like, oh, thank you so much for your feedback. And then how do they respond to that? They can get more upset, and you say, hey, thank you so much for your feedback. I really appreciate it.
Wow. I love that, Sam. Thank you.
It just kind of rolls off, because then they don't know what to do. They're just like, wait, he just I wanted to get a rise out of him, but it didn't work. He just said, thank you. And something that I've learned in my life through life experiences and just learning kind of, I had to overcome stuff, was learning to live in gratitude. And it's from your story and the things we talked about before this and on the recording, there's just a lot of gratitude. You have to learn. Everybody has to learn that for themselves, to learn in gratitude. And for me, I was just thinking about this the other day. I was feeding our little son, my little son, and he was choking on a chip. Oh. And I was thinking, man, I am so grateful. Like how many people are really grateful for their throat and the fact that like our body naturally puts food down one tube and air through the other. Oh yeah. It's just incredible. It's just like something you don't ever think about, but until you don't have it anymore, then you think about it. You're like, oh, I'm dying, right?
Totally. Same thing when you get sick or injured. And, you know, what is it? Like we're one in, I don't even know, 100 million, bazillion, trillion, you know, that, you know, the odds of you being created.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like 20,000 zeros. Man, any morning, like you wake up and you think like you're not special or you're not worthy or you're not this or you're not that, like you're a human being. Like this is insane. Like you can do anything and you're here for a reason.
Absolutely.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. And that feeds into my greater gratitude of like in my life, we were in a meeting with my church the other day and they said, oh, raise your hand if you've never had a trial in your life, right? And nobody else raised their hand. I was like, that me, right? Everything in my life, it's not that I haven't had things happen, but everything in my life happens for me. It's a gift. It's not a trial. Like I get the opportunity to grow and become better than I was yesterday. I get the opportunity to be able to serve more, have more empathy towards people. And so everything's a gift. And when I look at my life that way, it's just great. There's no bad things that could happen. I mean, not challenging anybody. I don't want any more bad things to happen, but
yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And even to just piggyback on that, some of the most incredible moments in my life happen right after a tragedy or a hard time. So, you know, like right now I've got a bunch of girlfriends that are going through some stuff and with family and boyfriends and stuff. And I'm like, just be patient. Just wait. Give it like a few more days or a few more weeks. And I swear, like, that stuff just comes, you know?
Right. No, absolutely. So how would you say, as somebody who's lived through it, maybe struggled with identifying their self-worth earlier in life, how could our audience or myself reach out to those people who are struggling in that area and help them identify sooner their self-worth? What would be your advice for people in that position?
Well, I definitely think like some outlets of reaching people is through social media. I think that people, you know, you and I and anyone listening that has been through something and it's made them stronger, tell your story. Your story is very, very powerful. So that's what can give other people the hope that they can get better. And then also it makes you relatable. And when somebody feels like someone else is going through the same thing or has been there, then they're much more able to connect and able to really follow their advice. But that's a great question. And this is another thing I haven't spoken about on camera or to the public yet, but I love fitness and it is a huge, huge passion of mine. But in my life recently, I've realized that I think I can also reach people and help people on a much deeper level, on a much bigger scale. And so what I want to do is, I can't believe I'm talking about this for the first time, but I want to create a course that helps people identify what a toxic relationship looks like and how they can actually get out of it. And that's what I plan to do to help people. So I'm really excited about that.
Wow. Cool. I'm excited. Let me know when it's up. I'll definitely promote it, maybe have you back on just so we can talk about it more and to kind of flesh that out so other people can, the people who are willing to maybe get in on a secret email away from their toxic person, process safely in a safe environment. That's huge and critical, the processing aspect. So yeah, that's way cool. It's so incredible to me, all the things you've accomplished. How many businesses have you started? We're going to start with actually the first time you decided to become an entrepreneur, because this is a story that I think everybody needs to hear, and many people probably can relate with the first half, but it's the second half that really like pushes you and accelerates you, and that I want the listener to hear.
Oh yeah. So do you want me to take them all the way back to when I was like 4?
Oh yeah, all the way back.
all the way back. Okay, so when I was like 4, I used to create all these like little clubs, and I would invite all my friends over. But if they wanted to be in the club, they had to pay 10 cents per month, and I had a little piggy jar. And then they also had to, one was like an art club, for example. So they had to like donate one piece of art per month. And they had to like sign in and all this stuff. So I think before I even realized what entrepreneurship was, I was an entrepreneur. And then when I was 7 and I was diagnosed with crutches, and my dad may have influenced me a tiny bit, but yeah, my dad was like, you should go down and maybe sell lemonade. I bet people would love that you're on crutches and just go ahead and try that. So yeah, I used to do lemonade sales when I was on crutches, and I made some pretty good money. I made like $300 in like 3 hours. So I averaged like $100 an hour. Sold lemonade from like 7 to like 15. So that was that. That was good. And then first business I like officially started was it was called Lil apostrophe Lil One's Babysitting and Tutoring. And I took my little brother's Bird Rock handbook, and I love these stories because this is like for anybody out there that's maybe younger or something. If you're doing like a mowing your neighbor's lawn business or like whatever it is, like keep it up. Like that's where you start. So took my little brother's elementary school handbook and just made flyers and business cards and went all around to all the neighborhoods and houses in La Jolla and passed out my cards. And then that's how I started my business. And that lasted for, about like 10 years. I had customers from that. And so that pretty much paid for me to go to college and do what I wanted for those 10 years, pretty much. I worked some other jobs as well, but yeah, that was a good one. And then I also started a boxing business. Yeah. And then now personal training. So
you've just done it all. And I mean, obviously from a young age, you've been dealing with money. Where did you learn like the principles of saving and being able to take that money that you were earning and put it towards college and put it towards these other aspirations that you've had?
I think my dad was a big influence for that, and my mom as well. My dad still is a personal injury attorney, and my mom was a divorce lawyer. So they both, they didn't come from nothing, but they definitely worked their way up. And so seeing them, hearing the stories of my dad hitchhiking from New York to California with like $20 in his pocket, and then, owning a multi-million-dollar house in La Jolla and running his own business. So he's an entrepreneur as well. And my mom as well, she worked for herself. So I think it was kind of instilled in me, from birth. And they really inspired me a lot. My mom bought her first house by herself when she was like, I want to say 25, out in Utah. So they're just like incredible human beings, and they've been a huge inspiration for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Associations, man. That is the key. And going back right to the relationships, right? It's the same thing. We have to change our associations so we can recognize we're in a position that's not normal, that's different, that could be better, right? Being associating with other people so you actually can recognize, maybe it's time to change.
Totally.
And that can be a good thing. If you're always associating with great people, then you're going to be able to naturally be lifted up to their level of consciousness and their expectation, not because like they're expecting it of you or you're going to be outcast or something, but just because they believe in you. They believe that it's possible because they've been able to accomplish something. They naturally believe in you to accomplish the same or more in a lot of cases.
Yeah, exactly. And the biggest mistake that I made that I'm really not proud of, but I feel like it'll help a lot of people out there, is I was like, well, you know what? My tribe is so strong, because it is. My family, my mom, my dad, my brother, my best friends. I was like, my tribe is so strong, but I wasn't looking at everyone in it. My significant other, like, a lot of times a really important person in our life was all bad. And so even if you have an amazing family, an amazing support system, a great coach or a great teacher, if your significant other doesn't believe in you and doesn't build you up, get rid of them. Get rid of them.
No, absolutely. There's I wish I had it in this. Have you ever read the book Outwitting the Devil?
I haven't, but I've heard of it.
Okay, this book, like, it changed my life. I just did a podcast on it earlier today, but it was talking about, one of it talks about marriage, and Napoleon Hill asks the devil, he says, is divorce good? Is it bad? Should they stay in the relationship out of duty to their children, whatever? And the devil's like, if they stay in it, that's good for me because it creates contention and fear and all those things. And so then Napoleon Hill says, well, what would your advice be if they didn't want to be under your influence? And he says, yeah, nobody should stay in the presence or be associating with on a regular basis people who are toxic or going to destroy their belief in themselves or doubt themselves or instill fear. Those people, they should just get out of a relationship. And I thought it was interesting because generally, I mean, it's getting less taboo, divorce, but you don't want to go into a relationship expecting divorce. But on the other hand, you don't want to just stay in a relationship that is terrible just because you can't get divorced. That's just abusing yourself and allowing somebody else to abuse you, which I don't think is healthy.
Yeah, not at all. And it brings you down. You down.
So anyways, good book. Read it for sure if you get a chance. But I wanted to kind of talk about two more things. What books do you feel like are really valuable, or even authors, if you find certain authors really speak to you and kind of light your heart on fire, who would those be?
I love books and they've definitely impacted my life, but I have to be honest, YouTube and video has impacted my life much more. So the two people that really changed my life is Bob Proctor and Tony Robbins. And oh my gosh, the first light bulb. So there's kind of been a series of light bulbs, like I explained, but the first big one was when I watched a Bob Proctor video. I'll have to find which one it was and I'll let you know. But I watched the same freaking video. It's 30 minutes long for like 60 days. And I didn't stop watching it until I believed in who I was. And I believed that I could do anything. So I think it's very powerful to know your weakness. And obviously, like if I've been in relationships where I wasn't respected, my weakness was maybe not respecting myself enough. So know your weakness and face that and find a video or a book that addresses that. And then read that book or watch that video again and again and again and again and again until you believe it and until it works for you. And so that's what I did, and that really helped. And they're both motivational speakers for anybody who doesn't know who they are. They talk a lot about, changing your mindset and that kind of stuff. It's very powerful.
Yeah, no, they're definitely two of my favorite as well. Bob Proctor specifically, one of his series I love. It's called You Were Born Rich, and it's just incredible. Just like talking about, from the very the odds of you being here, everything, like we were just born rich of blessings, rich of circumstances. And the fact that we're here is just amazing. And so because of that, we can do anything we want. And that one's like a 6-hour series. But it's fantastic. The whole series is just really, really incredible. So what would you feel like? Oh, go for it.
I was just going to say, I love that you know him. Not a lot of people know who he is. Yeah, so that's really cool.
More and more people need to see him. That's what I would say. More and more people.
Yeah.
So what would you say is holding you back from reaching your next level then? I mean, you've overcome a lot and you kind of have had this enlightenment of your own self-worth that you can accomplish anything, but what's holding you back now?
So currently the thing that I'm struggling most with, which I am happy to have, universe, I'm very happy to have, but is balance, is freaking balance. I mean, I think, especially since I got out of my toxic relationship, like all of this like beautiful energy and amazing people have just flocked into my life and opportunities. So I am busy as all my, I mean, it was hard to even schedule this interview. So I've been very, very busy with incredible people. And so, balancing family and friends and dating and, building a business and training for nationals right now and everything else is a lot. So the thing that I'm struggling most with is sitting down during my power hours and crushing my business goals. Everything else, spirituality, fitness, family, friends, all that is amazing, awesome, so grateful. But you got to have like everything. And I'm not really driven by money. So I feel like that's part of the reason why I don't just sit down and like make a business. I just want to help people and stuff. So I need to kind of transition into a business mindset, creating this program that I told you I want to make, and utilizing my power hours. And just really quick, anybody out there, if you don't know what your power hours are, figure it out. They're very, very powerful. Everybody works well at different times of the day. So whether that's the morning or the evening or midday, whatever it is, when does your brain function at its highest? And when can you have the least amount of distraction? So for me, unfortunately or fortunately, that's like 5 to 8 a.m. So when I'm most successful and doing the best in my business and everything, 5 to 8 a.m., phones off, grind it out. So find out what your power hours are and definitely do that every single day. That'll be huge for me too. I need to do it too. So here we go.
Yeah, no, for sure. Those are my power hours as well. If I want to write something, study for a test, anything like that, I'm useless in the evening. Right about like 8, 9 o'clock, I'm done. Like my mind is just like in detox mode and review, planning for the next day, but not like super intensive anything. But then I can get up at 4:35 in the morning and be studying and have a great morning. But it is like you have to find out what works best for you. I have a friend, his power hour is like 11 p.m. to like 1 a.m. And I don't understand that at all. Like then I'm asleep. Like I'm not I'm useless to everyone at that point in the middle of the night. So
my coach, his name's Brett Contreras, and he's huge in the fitness industry, and his nickname is the glute guy. And so he kind of invented the barbell hip thrust, and he's incredible. He's actually another person that has really believed in me and seen me through from the beginning, and right now I'm in prep with him for nationals. And his power hours, he was telling me, is like midnight to like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and then he goes to sleep and wakes up at like 10 a.m. So everybody's different, and that's really cool. He has different ones though.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hey, Niki, thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy. I know that I was lucky to grab you for an hour or so. I want to ask you one final question, though, and that is, how do you want to be remembered? What do you want your legacy to be?
Well, it's kind of changed over the years. It kind of started with helping people transform their bodies and be confident and look the way they want to look and feel the way that they want to feel. But I'd love to take that to an even deeper level and help people live the lives they want to live, period. Spiritually, mentally, physically, all of it. And then also just to inspire people to take risks. Just do it. Like, this is it. We have one life. And I've done a lot of that in my life, so I aim to hopefully inspire and encourage other people to do the same. It's scary. It's not always easy. You're going to be told a no a lot of times. But just keep getting back up and keep doing it. So yeah, taking risks and living the life that you dream of, because this is it. There's only one.
That's true. And just thank you so much. That's incredible. And just that mission and vision, I hope that rings true for everybody. Digging inside of yourself and finding out what you can be good at, and then call Niki and she'll help you really, really flesh that out and express that to your fullest, which is awesome. Thank you so much. Really,
You're
really
welcome.
your time.
No problem. And yeah, if anybody wants to shoot me a message or has any questions about this or questions for me personally, Niki Zager, NikiZager on Instagram. So feel free to shoot me a message.
Awesome. And are you anywhere else like YouTube or Facebook?
Yeah, everywhere. Niki Zager. You can look me
Niki
up.
Zager. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, go check her out. Check out her profile. Follow her page. She's awesome. She's accomplished a ton. Still competing and not slowing down anytime soon. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on Fueling Your Legacy.